In 2012, we discovered that the mayor was secretly trying to sell off 5 houses. They were up for auction. They were council-owned houses in various parts of New Cross, Deptford and Lee Green. We occupied them. We prevented the sale. We moved a family into one and squatters into the others, which were not really suitable for families with children. And after a big campaign of leafleting, press coverage, TV journalists came to cover it as well, and talking to people in the street, the mayor decided to change his policy and to agree to all our demands. They were that the houses be refurbished by local tradespeople with apprenticeships and let out to people from the homeless and housing waiting list. Of course it made sense, and we're very glad that the mayor listened and changed his policy. It's such a short-term outlook to just sell off everything you own, to get some money in, to then give it back out to bed and breakfast accommodation for families that need somewhere to live. Just recently, earlier this year, we discovered that there's a patch of land in Besson Street in New Cross that had been empty for over 8 years, since around 400 flats were demolished there. Instead of building houses on it, the mayor has been looking for a private developer to build 170 flats, of which 25% would be so-called affordable. Affordable means 80% of market rent. It doesn't mean that it's really affordable. So we built a small house on there, a cabin for a family to move into, and you can see the film about that elsewhere on our website. Suffice it to say that the council decided to knock it down. When I painted a political slogan on the fence outside saying 400 families homeless, this land empty for 8 years, build council houses here now, I was charged with criminal damage and sent to Bromley Magistrates Court. Fortunately, I was able to persuade the Crown Prosecution Service. Fortunately, I was able to persuade the Crown Prosecution Service that it would be a waste of public money and not in the public interest to continue to prosecute me, and they have dropped all the charges. So what do we propose for housing in Lewisham? This is our manifesto for Lewisham. You can get your own copy by sending an email to manifesto@lpbp.org.uk. We say that one of the main problems for housing in London is because the economy in Britain is skewed towards the south-east. The financial sector in London has drawn people from other parts of the country to leave their areas where they may have had jobs in the past in manufacturing or mining or construction and come to the south-east. Also, the inflated salaries in the banking industry mean that people are prepared to pay more to buy houses or to rent houses than local people can afford. So that's a long-term thing that needs addressing, and it wouldn't be able to be done by one borough alone. However, in this borough, if I am elected as mayor, we will build council houses for people to rent, and we will build them using a direct works department of the council. That means jobs and training for local people. Jobs for local people means the money stays in the area. If a firm like Barratt's builds the houses as they have done in Lone Pit Vale and are planning to do it at Catford Dog Track, they bring their workers from miles away. They come in from Essex by minibus, an hour and a half's journey. That's no good for anybody, really. They should be building houses in Essex. We've got people here who can do the job just as well. And why do we need Barratt's taking their cut of the profits anyway? If we're building houses for people here in Lewisham, directly through the council, then we're saving money. We can do the job better, cheaper, and we also know that we'll build them with the long-term nature of the house in mind. We don't want to build houses that will fall down in 20 or 30 years. We need them to last 100 years, like the Victorian housing stock that many of us live in this borough. But there's also things we can do immediately on coming into office. Freeze rents at their current level, and then for 4 years, and then aim to reduce them to not more than 30% of average wages in Lewisham. Average wage in Lewisham is somewhere around £26,000 to £28,000 for a full-time worker. There's plenty of people who don't earn that much, and so even 30% of that would be still very expensive for people who would probably need to be on housing benefit still. But we need to reduce the vast sums that are paid out in housing benefit to private landlords by also instituting a fair rent scheme, just as it used to exist before Thatcher came to power. That's not something that a borough can do on its own, but we will work with other boroughs to put pressure on central government to bring in a fair rent scheme, as I think many parties and politicians agree that that's essential. Then there's the issue of right to buy, another of Thatcher's legacies. If you're a council tenant, you have the right to buy your house, and the problem with that is that while that may sound fine for people who want to live in it themselves, often these are then rented out in the private sector at inflated rents. So we will institute a clause in any sale of a council house, we're not allowed to prevent the sale of council housing, insisting that if the person isn't going to live in it themselves, then it can only be let out via the council's housing list at a council fair rent. That will stop people making a quick buck by buying their house and then renting it out to other people. We have to have some fairness here. The council can't go around spending its money building houses only for them to be sold off to someone else to profiteer from. We also want support for leaseholders, people who have bought their own council flat in a block of flats. When repairs are then needed, then the cost of the repairs is borne equally by the leaseholders and the housing association or the council, whoever owns the other flats. But often leaseholders are given inflated bills to try and reduce the costs for the housing association. That's simply not fair. We need to see transparency for that, and all maintenance work on housing that is either in council ownership or former council ownership, where there are many leaseholders, will be undertaken by the council's own direct works maintenance department to make sure there's no profiteering. We also want to license all private landlords, which is something that's been done in Newham, and that would help make sure that all homes that are rented are in a decent habitable condition. We all know that there are many good landlords, but there are also rogue landlords who don't care about the quality of housing they're renting out. They just care about making a profit. Well, obviously a party like ours, called People Before Profit, will want to tackle aspects like that. I think that's about it on council housing. I may have forgotten something, but how about ordering your own copy of the manifesto and checking? Housing is one of the most important issues that a local authority can deal with. And to just say, as Steve Bullock did in 2010, Lewisham is a crap landlord, just isn't good enough. I hope you'll vote for me and other People Before Profit candidates next Thursday, the 22nd of May. Thank you.